Hi, and welcome to Quirky Books with Katie. Today I'm going to be doing my October wrap-up and November TBR video. So, I had an okay reading month in October. I still read a lot, not as much as usual, but school has been kicking my butt this year. The first book that I'm going to talk about, I actually read at the end of September, but finished at the beginning of October, and that is Untold by Sarah Rees Brennan. This is the second book in her Unspoken series. Now, as you guys may know, the first book in this series, Unspoken, is one of my favorite books of all time. I freaking adore it. So when this came out, I went running to the bookstore, got it the day it came out, and was disappointed. My issues with this book, it's just the plot didn't really draw me in, and it was annoying, but the only thing that was amazing was the relationship between two of my favorite characters. So I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars, and I was very disappointed with it. But still, nonetheless, you guys should still check out the first book, Unspoken. The next 2 books that I read were rereads, and they are If I Stay and Where She Went by Gail Forman. I absolutely adore both of these books. And the reason that I read both of these is because I actually went to a Gail Forman signing, and it was awesome, and I wanted to reread both of these books before I met her. Now, these books follow 2 characters, Adam and Mia. The first book, If I Stay, is about this girl named Mia who is in a car accident, and she has to kind of decide whether she wants to live or die, and the second book follows her boyfriend, Adam. And I really love both these books, 5 out of 5 stars. They're both amazing. If you're looking for a contemporary that isn't too fluffy, I would definitely suggest picking them up. The next book that I read is actually a trilogy of plays, and they are Oedipus the King, Oedipus at Sophocles, and Antigone by Sophocles. I had to read these for school. I mean, they were okay. They weren't great. Oedipus still kind of freaks me out. Antigone was really good, though. I think I gave the first Oedipus 2 stars. 3 stars, and the second one I gave like a 1. I hated the second one. And Antigone I also gave 3 stars. The next book I read is Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea by April Genevieve Tchulk. Okay, I have wanted to read this book for probably the longest time. I think the idea sounds amazing. The cover looked look at this cover. It's gorgeous. And I read it, and I gave it a 1. I do not give out that many 1s. This book earned its 1. This book is about a girl named Violet who rents out her guest house, and a guy comes in and she thinks he may be the devil or some work of the devil. This book just had no character development, no plot. It wasn't even creepy. I know a lot of people like this book. I was not a fan. The next book that I read was actually another disappointment, and that is The Coldest Girl in Cold Town by Holly Black. This is a book about vampires, and it's a standalone, which was actually the best thing about the book. This one too, the plot, it was just really far-fetched. I wasn't really connecting with any of the characters. The main character was a pain in the butt, and I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read is House of Hades by Mr. Rick Riordan, the 4th book in the Heroes of Olympus series, which is the spin-off to Percy Jackson. This book was amazing. I absolutely adore Rick Riordan. Anything he writes, I will read. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. It was really good, just not fantastic. I really loved the development between Percy and Annabeth's relationship, and I felt like a lot of the characters really came into their own. This book had a lot of key emotional development that was awesome, and I would definitely recommend this series if you haven't checked it out. The next book that I read is Never Fade by Alexandra Bracken. This is the second book in the Darkest Mind series. This was by far my favorite book I read this month. I thought this was absolutely fabulous. The Darkest Minds has been going around on BookTube recently. I feel like no one's read the second book, though, and they should. It's not that it was better than the first book. It was just so amazing. The characters were great, and the ending was not too much of a cliffhanger, unlike the first one. And I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. You must all read this series. I feel like it has something for fans of every genre. And I want the next book now, even though it comes out in next December. And the last book that I read in the month of October is Obsidian by Jennifer L. Armentrout. And this book has been going around like wildfire lately. A ton of people have recommended it to me, and I thought it was worth its hype. This book is about aliens. And my only issue with this series is that the writing is a little juvenile. I mean, I feel like I could have written it. And otherwise, this book is seriously addictive. This entire series, you just want to read it. You want to know what happens to these characters. The book that I'm currently reading is Onyx by Jennifer L. Armentrout, which is the second book in the Obsidian series, or it's actually called the Lux series. And so far, this one's decent. It's addictive, but the main characters, it's just really angsty, I feel like. I don't know, one minute I'm like, they need to get together, the other I'm like, too much angst. Now I'm going to jump into my November TBR. I have 9 books on this list, which is probably a little adventurous considering that debate team starts this month and I'm going to miss like a crap ton of school. But we're going to be adventurous. The first book on my TBR is Anatomy of a Boyfriend by Daria Snedowski, I believe. I was actually sent this book for review, and I'm interested. The cover is a little weird, but this is obviously about some stuff that people don't like talking about. So yeah, let me know if you've heard anything about this. I know its rating isn't that good on Goodreads. But the next 2 books that I'm going to read are actually rereads. They are Legend and Prodigy by Marie Lu. These are books 1 and 2 in the Legend series. I adore this series to death. It is one of my all-time favorites. Legend is one of my all-time favorite books. It's just a great dystopian, and if you're mourning after Allegiant, definitely go check these out. I love this series so much. You guys don't understand. I love it. I love the characters. It is just amazing. To go along with those 2 books, the next book that I will be reading is Champion by Marie Lu, which is the last book in the Legend series. I am so nervous to see how the series is going to end. This is probably my most anticipated book of the year, and I'm just fangirling, waiting for it to come out. You guys are going to see a very emotional and fangirled review, so I hope that's okay. The next book that I will be reading is The World After by Susan E. This is the second book in the Angel Fall series. Angel Fall is such an amazing, unique book. It's about angels in like a post-apocalyptic world. I would definitely recommend it. And the second book comes out this month, and I'm really excited to see where the series is going to go from here. The first book was really short, but it still had a crap ton of development. The book left off in the cliffhanger, so we'll see where it goes from there. The next 2 books I plan on reading are Opal and Origin by Jennifer L. Armentrout. They are books 3 and 4 in the Lux series. As you guys know, I'm addicted to the series, and I want to know what finds out. Although I've heard that Origin is like really, really bad. Hopefully it's not too bad. The next book that I'm going to read, you guys are probably going to be like, what? You have not read this yet? And I know, and it is Allegiant by Veronica Roth. This is the 3rd book in the Divergent series, and everyone is up in arms about this book. Holy crap. I accidentally spoiled myself on Tumblr, so I know what happens, but I'm still, everyone right now, if you go up to a Divergent fan, that is what they will do to you. I'm really interested to see. My question for all you Divergent fans, though, was it that you just didn't like the ending, or was the book itself bad? Because before this book came out, it had like a 4.5 rating on Goodreads, and now it's down to like a 3.8. So if any of you can answer that question for me, I'd love to know. And the last book I plan on reading in the month of October is Fangirl by Rambo Rowell. This is obviously about a fangirl, hence the cover. I am so freaking excited to read this book. It sounds like the perfect cute contemporary, as I am also a fangirl, and I know everyone loves this book, and I'm really excited to read it. So let me know in the comments down below if you guys have read any of these books or what you thought of them, and if you want me to do any reviews on any of these books that I mentioned. So thank you guys for watching. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you again soon.